Minutes away from 8 o'clock. Good to have you with us on a very rainy Monday morning edition of the South African Morning. Well, lockdown turned many homes and offices and restricted people stopped people from venturing outside. Of course, people working from home, unable to move. So what happened to gym? What happened to all of us staying fit and healthy during lockdown? Keeping fit and healthy, of course, very, very important, especially during a global pandemic, well, when we were allowed to exercise. Remember that all those years ago. Well, according to data released by Wits University and Discovery Vitality, fitness devices and online workouts filled in on that gap. Well, let's help us try and get more active. Is this the new future? Are we going back to gym, or are we going to just keep watching our wrist as we ride and run around? Discovery Vitality Head of Wellness, Dr. Mosima Mabunda, joining us. Dr. Mabunda, good to have you back on eNCA. Always great to chat to you. So I would imagine then that because we've now all learned how to be healthy and exercise at home, this is going to be our new normal, if I can keep using that phrase. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me back. I just want to touch on what you mentioned earlier to say lockdown has shifted how many of us exercise. But what we are seeing is people now are blending in their ways of exercise. During lockdown, as you mentioned, gyms were closed and many people couldn't exercise in the way that they were used to. But what we saw is people who exercise with wearable devices were able to sustain their exercise. And now with gyms open and with people able to run and exercise outdoors as per pre-lockdown, people are starting to integrate wearable devices into their exercise routine. So we're actually seeing a more positive trend because we know the benefits of tracking your workout with a wearable device. And we know that people that generally track their workout with wearable devices tend to sustain it even in moments when it's challenging to do so. So I would say we are not necessarily going backwards, but people are integrating wearables into their day-to-day fitness routine.
So would you say we are fitter now because of lockdown than we were before, or would you say it's the same?
Very pertinent question. I was reading a document by the WHO that actually shows that 1.4 billion people worldwide are not exercising as much as they want to, as they should. The WHO recommends that people exercise 150 to 300 minutes per week. Right. And we know that lockdown actually took us a step back. During lockdown, what we saw is 49% of people were not as active as they should be. That number has recovered, I think. But what we can safely say is though we're recovering and people are exercising, we still have a long way to go to increase physical activity. So I would encourage everyone to try and make a concerted effort to do what is feasible for them. Start walking if you haven't really been exercising. Start running if that is something that appeals to you, but try and find ways to be physically active because we are not as active as we should be.
It's interesting we talk about the fitness devices, the fitness trackers, and there's all kinds of brands. I think for most people, they'll know what it is. Essentially, it's a watch that will track your heart rate, your sleeping patterns, your exercises, your steps. And that's where I'm going, Doctor. It's the steps that's so important because what can be misleading, and tell me if you agree or not, is when your watch counts your steps. You'll get to the end of the day and you've reached your goal of, say, 6,000 steps without having done any exercise. People think that's actually enough. But I can't help think that actually might be a bit misleading. Just getting through your day is not the same as exercising.
So you raised quite an important point around being physically active and exercise. If I look at what the WHO guideline recommends, you actually need both. So you can't just go to gym, hit 30 minutes of exercise and think that's it. Exercise is important. You need to get those 150 to 300 minutes. However, you need to remain mobile throughout your day, which is where a wearable device is powerful. Because if you don't have a wearable device, you don't know how much more you are moving. And some wearable devices are actually quite sophisticated, where they would even nudge you to stand up. They would nudge you to say you've done so many steps. I mean, if I look at the wearable devices that we partner with in Vitality, the Apple device being one, if people who have Apple devices are nudged to say, now please stand up, now breathe. And if you don't have that, people tend to forget. So it's quite important for programs such as Vitality that we provide access for our members with wearable devices because we see the benefits in how these devices help keep our members engaged in the right behaviors.
Let's also be honest as well, Doctor, as I say goodbye to you, last answer from you is by gamifying exercising, it's helped as well to get people out and about as well. Discovery well known, Vitality well known for rewarding people who exercise as well. It's a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that seems to be working.
I could not agree more. I mean, I was reflecting last week that sometimes when I battle to exercise, knowing that I need to close my Vitality exercise room is important because I need my miles. The cost of living is going high, so I'm now quite intentional about earning my Discovery miles so that I can use them for shopping. So that element of gamification and incentives certainly works for me, and I know it works for many of our members.
Yeah, it's incredible how it's being done these days. You can save on fuel and groceries, and with the cost of living at the moment,
Right.
all you need to do is go running and earn a bit of money. So actually, everybody with a wearable device is actually a professional athlete because they're getting paid, essentially, to exercise. Discovery Vitality Head of Wellness, Dr. Mosima Mabunda.